everything that we've been talking about this week with our clients has been about actually what we're doing in terms of leadership and management to really steer our ships effectively. And we've done some blogs this week, some videos this week, we've done all sorts of different content about how we shape a leadership team that really drives success. And I've done some really interesting evaluation phone calls with a number of our live clients, and I've seen a very, very clear pattern. And that pattern is that those businesses who are saying, do you know what, we've done all right. Yeah, it's been tough. We've had to make a lot of changes. We've had to adapt a lot, but it's been all right, have described really, really excellent management strategies and practices in their business. And those businesses who've gone, oh, we're a bit wobbly, we're not having such a great time, we're a bit worried about the future, we're not really sure where we're going next, have not been able to describe great business practices around management. So this session is really to share some of the things that we've been talking about with clients, some of the behaviours that we've been observing in businesses that have done really well, and to talk to you about some of the ways that you might be able to embed these ideas in your business. And then when we go into the breakout rooms, there's some specific bits of this content I want you to talk about and say, oh, now that Carolyn talked us through that, I recognise that that's the area that my business needs to be better at, and start to chat about what you need to be doing. So that's the plan of action for today, and I hope that you'll find it really interesting. I've certainly found the digging underneath the skin of what do the teams at the top of really successful businesses look like. I find it fascinating, and I've also found it very interesting that it doesn't matter whether it's a one-man band or whether it's a business that's got a board of directors of 15 people, the same things remain true about what good looks like at the top. So let's start digging into this content. So very, very briefly, I'm not going to linger on any of these things. You can absolutely refer back to this slide if you need to. I just wanted to make clear for anyone who might not be absolutely confident how important leadership is. I've done an awful lot of research around some Harvard Business Review work, around some Deckers and Klein research that happened at the back end of last year, around what tangible and measurable differences we see in a business that's got the right leadership behaviours in place. And it probably goes without saying that there's lots of them. Yeah, there is no business that would not be better, more efficient, more effective, more productive if it didn't improve its management practices. So there's these bullet points here around the tangible things that you will without doubt see if your business constantly works on developing its leadership and its management. And as an individual, you know, over the 11 years now that I've run Elation, it has been thinking really critically about what are my management behaviours, what are my leadership behaviours, where am I getting in my own way, where do I need to do more and better for my team. That has been the one area of kind of constant reflection and development for me. And I know that when I'm getting it right, my business is more profitable than when I'm not. So I wanted to try and give you some tangibles, whether these are for you to think about as an individual, whether they're for you to share with other people in your business. That's over to you. But these are the benefits that businesses with high performing management teams will see in place. So let's kick off. We know that there are two types of individual that sit at the top of a business. One of them are leaders and one of them are managers. And anyone who took the time to read the blog that came out earlier in the week, there's a number of different ways that a business would address its need for good leadership and good management. It is a rare individual who is excellent at both, but sometimes that is the case. And certainly if you choose to develop yourself and refine yourself around these areas, then you can deliver good leadership and good management to your business. So the first question that I want all of you to be asking yourself is, at the end of this presentation, am I a natural leader or am I a natural manager? And the one that I'm not natural at, what am I doing to develop that skill? Because your business needs both of these things. So we're going to drill down now into who is your leader and who is your manager. and then give you some thoughts about how you can adapt that. So broadly speaking, we know that leaders are the people who drive the vision. They are the inspirational characters in your business. They are the guys that people look at and go, I want to be like them. Yeah, there's a lot more va-va-voom around leadership than there is about management. And there are three characteristics that we know great leaders have to do a great job. And it's these that I want you to think about. Are they present in you? And if they're not present in you, how can you develop them? And if you are developing them, who are you developing them in? So to go through them in detail, number one is empathy. Now, empathy is the ability to listen, to hear, to really understand what it feels like to walk in other people's shoes. Yeah, how empathetic are you of your target market, of your team members, of your suppliers? You know, one of the conversations that I had recently with a business, they had really big problems with their supply chain throughout the period of COVID and of severe lockdown. Real challenges and struggles in building a loyal supply chain that could support their ordering needs. And we talked a lot about the empathy that they had for their supplier network, and the answer was really very little. Yeah, they hadn't taken the time to seek to understand what was going on with their supply chain, to seek to build that relationship, to seek to walk in their shoes and understand things from their perspective, and it challenged their business. So that idea of being empathetic and being able to listen and know and understand is vitally important. Quality number two, and don't worry, I'm not going to name check anybody, but there's at least two leaders in this session now that I've talked about this with in quite some detail. Vulnerability is about being very honest with your team about your weaknesses. It's about being very open, creating an environment where you can say, I know I'm not good enough at this. I know that I let the business down in this area. I know that I'm not the strongest person in the team at this, and lean on them to support you in your vulnerability. It's absolutely fundamental, and not only because it shows you to be a human as a leader, but because it allows your team then to be able to be prepared to show their vulnerabilities. You need the people that work with you to be able to come and go, I'm not good enough here. I can't achieve this. I have got some critical challenges here. And creating that culture of feedback is reliant upon vulnerability being prized in your organisation. And unless you as a leader show that vulnerability, no one else is going to feel confident and comfortable to do so. So vulnerability, really key. And then the third one is innovation. Yeah, and innovation is about, are we able to do things differently around here? Are we comfortable to create new ways? Can you as a leader demonstrate a desire for change and demonstrate that change is positive in the business? You know, we're going to talk in a little bit more detail about vulnerability, about innovation when we come to a later point in the session. But these are the three qualities that leaders don't just have covertly inside them. Like, you might be sitting there right now going, yeah, I'm good at empathy. You need to tangibly demonstrate it in your business on a regular basis. So that's what the leader in your business will be getting up to. That's what they'll look like. Those are the skills that they will have. And I'd really like you to be writing down on a piece of paper now which ones you're absolutely confident you're nailing as an individual. Who is the leader in your business, and do they show those characteristics well and effectively? So the manager in your business is the person who takes responsibility for creating and embedding structure. They are the ones who say, this is the way we do things around here. These are our methodologies, our processes and our practices. And we are going to make absolutely certain that we hold people accountable and we drive people achieving these. I'm going to refer to the comments in a minute because Brene Brown is one of my favourite individuals on the planet. So the manager in your business, sorry, I've got the chat up now, so I can't move my slides forward. Technology is a challenge, isn't it? Managers do three things, not exclusively three things, many things, but they always do these three things. They set very clear expectations. This is the way that we do things around here. This is what I need from you. This is what good looks like for me. Those kind of statements and those kind of pieces of clarity. And please bear in mind, not just for your staff, for your suppliers, for your customers. The manager of your business is not just managing people in it, it's managing everyone who engages with your business. Yeah. The other thing a very good manager would do is provide accountability, and we will drill into this in a little bit more detail soon. They will make sure that everyone understands not only what is expected of them, but what the consequences of not achieving that are. And they should be positive consequences. I'm not talking about the manager being the guy who tells everyone off when they underdeliver. I'm talking about accountability being a really positive thing, and we'll talk about how you deliver that in a minute. And then the third thing that a manager always does is gives feedback. Yeah, I am going to be providing developmental feedback and praise feedback as regularly as I possibly can do. Feedback in the moment, feedback in structured environments, feedback regularly on what's going well and what's not going so well, so that everyone recognises we're in an environment of constant improvement. You know, if anyone has ever been in a business situation whereby a customer, a supplier, a staff member, a freelancer has done something that you've really found difficult or frustrating, that you've recognised wasn't quite good enough, and you haven't had the confidence or the environment to address that properly, and it's kind of been let slide, then you can say you can recognise that there's a gap there in the business's management practices, because that regularity and consistency of feedback is fundamental when you are talking about the managers in your business. So what I'm going to do is I'm now going to give you a real life example of what I want you guys to be doing in your breakout groups, so that you can have that healthy conversations about these topics in a minute. I'm having a little look at the chat. So yes, Simon Sinek is amazing, all over TED Talks, all over the internet. You can follow him on LinkedIn as well. Brene Brown is in my opinion a living legend. Her book, you recommended a book, but I can't scroll back to it because did you say Daring Greatly, or was it a different one? Because my mouse isn't working, I can't go back, which is frustrating. Can someone tell me what was the name of the book?
It was Dare to Lead. Sorry,
Dare
I
to
could actually talk to you. I was thinking I'm typing, but I can actually speak to you.
Yes, you can. So Dare to Lead is an absolutely brilliant one.
Yeah, she just takes the Daring Greatly and then just transforms it for lead.
Okay, great. So I've read Daring Greatly. Daring Greatly is one of my favourite books of all time. That she did an absolutely fantastic a fantastic TED Talk many years ago, but more recently she's done a Netflix 1 hour long documentary talk, which is called Call to Courage, which is again about how we can lead with vulnerability. I think that, yeah, Brene Brown genuinely will help us all to be better humans, never mind better leaders. So I would get enthusiastic about her. Natalie says that she's got a reading list that she's prepared to share with the world, and I would absolutely love to see you do that, Natalie. So yeah, put it in Basecamp. It's fabulous. So what I'm going to do now is give you an example of what I would like you guys to be doing in the breakout sessions that we're going to put you in a moment. So we're talking about developing the right characteristics. So if you were looking to develop those leadership characteristics, I'm going to hone in on innovation as one, because innovation for me is a really powerful one. It is a skill that you can tangibly develop. If you aren't particularly great at it right now, or you recognise that in your business there is overall a lack of the innovation leadership skill present, an example of one of the ways that you could tangibly influence the amount of innovation that's happening at leadership level is pick a piece of work, any piece of work. So let's say Emma and I would really like to create a new project tracking process in our business. Yeah, and I wanted us to take a more innovative approach to doing that. I would say I would task Emma to go away and come up with 5 different ways of doing that piece of work. And I would go away and I would come up with 5 different ways of doing that piece of work. So then we've got one piece of work and we've got 10 different approaches to that piece of work that we can consider. that gives us a forum for innovation, right? 10 different ways to the same outcome. Let's take a look at those. Let's chat through them as a leadership team and really understand which one of those approaches we're going to take and which is going to add the most value to the business. So be constantly tasking yourself to find different ways of approaching pieces of work, approaching things with more diversity. So if you don't particularly use video communication in your business, can you think of a way of bringing that in? If you haven't done an awful lot of interactive, collaborative work and decision making in your business, can you do that? So that thinking of diverse and varied ways of approaching a task, rather than just implementing it in the way that you would always implement a piece of work, that would encourage you to develop an innovative leadership practice. So that's an example. Then if we move on to management, let's say that you've recognised there's a lack of accountability in your management style, or there's a lack of accountability in your business. I would ask you to drill into, what does accountability mean? So accountability, as the clear definition, means being prepared to be held accountable for my activity, being prepared to give an account of what I have achieved and how. So how can you create those forums for accountability in your business? So if we say actually delivering work on time is a really key measure for success in our business, how do you hold people accountable for that? And we create forums for accountability. So it may be that at the end of every day, you send out an email to everyone in your team or to every supplier to say, this is the things you've done really brilliantly, and these are the things I'd like you to do better. It may be that you agree with all of your external contractors that at the end of every single month, you're going to do a review Zoom call. And in that review call, you are going to say, what are the 3 things you're most proud of and what are the 3 things you wish you did differently? Yeah, these things, we call them forums for accountability, because they are the places where the people who you are holding accountable have to show up and be counted. You may say to particular people within your team, I would like you to drop me a report every Friday outlining the 3 things you excelled at this week and the 3 things that you really wish you'd done better or differently, or the 5 things that you would like me to coach you around because you don't think you're as competent as you would like to be. So these forums for accountability are you thinking about, where do I create the right environment for people to show up and demonstrate the value they've been added, so that we can praise where they've done brilliantly and we can put in consequences for where we've got critical concerns. So they're just some examples. Now, what I really want you guys to do in the breakout session that Emma's going to create for you in a moment is think about, are you a more leadership-led business or are you a more management-led business? You know, when you very kindly put a note saying you're really comfortable with those 3 leadership attributes, but not so comfortable with the management attributes. When you're doing your breakout sessions and discussions, can I ask you to think very specifically about where you would like to improve in your business and what you might be able to do to tangibly achieve that? So I'm going to check in the chat now. There's no questions for anybody. Does anyone have any questions or comments they would like to add around that content of leadership versus manager? Who's driving your business? How are you making sure that you've got an equal amount of leadership attributes and management attributes across your business? If they're not you, who are they? You know, I think that everyone at Elation would probably say that I'm in the same camp as Rin. I'm a natural leader and I've learned to be a manager. I can hold people accountable. I do give feedback, but I am more natural on the other side of that scale. I've had to learn and be disciplined around my management. Natalie also agrees. Oh, Natalie, I just noticed your surname's changed. That's nice. So for each of you now, I want you to think very specifically about, do you want to work on your leadership attributes or your management attributes? Where are you going to uplift the skill set of your business? And then in your breakout group, I want you to discuss that with your partner to understand what can you tangibly do to make a very significant difference to how well your business is led from the top.